we've acquired, or we've been requested to be allowed to trade 3100 block of 135 Ellis Park is acquired property there. There's a single-story house and a barn that they're going to allow us to trade into until they decide to take that down and develop whatever they're going to develop there.
Okay. Questions for Court? Is there a motion for approval?
So moved. Second.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Yes. Todd, you're up next. Ooh.
First thing tonight is we request the board ratify purchase of 16 2023 Dodge Chargers for the police department at $35,442 each, for a total of $567,072 to be paid for use in the Huntington lease. Let's get in and try to get the last of the Chargers before this actual line was discontinued.
So this is a 2022 model or 2023?
It used to be 23s. This is an order model.
And when do you expect to get this?
The estimate was 90 to 180 days, but I'm not holding my breath.
Okay. Any other questions for Todd on this? Approach the charges.
I move for approval. Second.
Further discussion? Funding's there. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next item. Todd.
Secondly, I think on the agenda to improve trade values for 2 vehicles. I had an econ today, so I'm actually going to remove the Jeep from that and just request trade value of a 21 Explorer at the trade value of $28,000.
Is that a trade towards the Chargers?
No, it's going to go to different.
Something else. Okay. Other questions for Todd or other discussion?
I move to approve the trade. Second.
Further discussion? There you go. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay.
And lastly, at the May 4th meeting, the board approved purchase of 13 Chevrolet pickup trucks, 3/4 ton pickup trucks at a not to exceed price of $55,000. We had to make some changes to get most or hopefully all of them built and make some of them crew cabs, which actually took one truck and took it above the cap, the board's cap, and it moved it to $56,285. So I'm going to request approval of that price.
Increase to $1,600 and some change. Any questions? Greg, that's all okay? Get a roll.
I'll move for approval. Second.
Further discussion? Then none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Todd.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Next, Rob. Got you on a different
Yes.
side of the room.
Yes. Rob Cole, IT Director. I'm requesting ratification and approval of Vigilon Video Security for the Greenwood Police Training Center, conditional upon final terms by the legal department at a cost not to exceed $18,637. And if you could also authorize me or the deputy mayor to sign these addendum.
Questions for Rob?
I move that we approve the request and authorize deputy mayor to sign. Second.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Didn't see Donna Smithers.
She's on
Oh,
online.
hi, Donna.
Hi, how are you?
Barely hear you.
We can't hear you out here.
Oh, can you hear me okay?
1 minute, I guess.
Okay.
Sounds better. Donna, can you hear us now?
Yes, yes.
We still can't hear you.
Oh. Well,
There we go.
yeah. Okay.
Okay. Rice District.
So tonight, and I apologize, I couldn't be there in person tonight. I have another meeting to go to right after this. But we are requesting acceptance and execution of the final plat for the Rise Commercial District. And this is, we were only hired or contracted to do the final plat for this. Another engineering firm has completed the site plans on it. So everything should be in order. Paul's reviewed everything. And I think all we need now is to get it accepted, get signatures, and then we'll get the owner's signature and get it recorded.
Mark, that's all kosher with you?
Yep.
Okay. Motion to accept and execute the final plat for the Rise Commercial District.
So moved. I'll second.
Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thanks, Donna.
Thank you. Take care.
Someone's appearing for Mr. Wagner.
I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Okay.
I'm appearing for Mr. Wagner.
Hi, Doug.
Hey, guys.
In University Park, section 15.
Yeah, I was wanting to ask for funding for one of those 2023 Dodge Chargers.
We'll put you down for one.
Price is going up, buddy.
I'll bet. That's nice. No, guys, hey, I'm back for homecoming at University Park 15. We've got our last sidewalk bond where we have done the repairs to that, got a final inspection, everything's passed. So I'm asking for acceptance of the maintenance guarantee on the builder sidewalks, as well as release of our performance guarantee that is still in the possession of the city of Greenwood.
Mark, I'm taking that's all okay.
Yep, we have no concerns with this request.
I'll move that we approve the request.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thanks, Doug. Have a good evening.
All right, you too, guys. Thanks a lot.
Next, we go to Crossroad. Brady's excited to talk to us, I'm sure.
Yeah, sorry for jumping the gun.
That's all right.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Brady Vaughn. I'm with Crossroad Engineers, presenting for the Oliver Springs development. We've got a couple of stormwater waiver requests that we have to present tonight. You could go to the next slide. So just to give you guys a brief reminder of where this is located. So it's at the intersection of Emerson Avenue and Alpine Way, just on the west side of that, and also on the west of the site, down by the Indy South Greenwood Airport. Just to give you a brief overview of the site, it's approximately a 15.74 acre site. It's going to be developed as a multifamily apartment complex with 226 units across 21 buildings, with a clubhouse and a maintenance building. So among the improvements are a new storm sewer and a wet detention pond in the northeast corner. That brings us to the waivers that we'll be requesting. So the first one we'll be requesting, so it's a minimum drop of 1/10 of a foot through manholes and inlet structures shall be provided. We're asking to be relieved from that requirement. So the biggest hardship on this one is we've got to get drainage from the southwest corner of the site to the northeast corner of the site. Given the long distance and being bound by our outlet elevation and a maximum building elevation due to proximity to the airport, that hardship created just too much of a challenge to add that 10-foot drop in each structure on our main line. The second waiver is that a minimum of 90% of the original detention capacity is restored within 48 hours from the start of the design 100-year storm. That one, so the biggest factor in that one is the allowable release rates. And so due to the existing conditions of the site, it brought about a very low allowable release rate. We're able to meet all of the other design requirements for the bond. At 48 hours, we're at 71.5% capacity that's been restored, and we're back to that 90% by 76 hours. So we're not far off. But again, the biggest issue with that one was because only about about half of the site drains to the northeast corner. We're bound by how much we can release into that legal drain. And so as I said, we're meeting water quality requirements. We're meeting allowable release rates. We're just not able to get to that 90% capacity restored in a 48 hour.
In considering both of these requests, we are bound to follow certain terms of the ordinance. And, I think I'm obligated to read those. The granting of the waiver will not be detrimental to public safety, health, or welfare or injurious to other property. The conditions upon the request for a waiver are based on unique to the property for which the waiver is sought and are not applicable generally to other property. The application of the ordinance under a manual present or cause undue hardship for a development or development site, provided, however, that undue hardship shall not include the need for the developer to incur reasonable expenses in order to comply with the ordinance. And the granting of the requested relief will not substantially prevent the goals or purposes of the ordinance that result in less effective management of stormwater runoff or stormwater quality. Mr. Jones, what is your office's take on these waiver requests?
We have no objection.
Mark, anything from your office?
We don't have any objection either. I'm happy to answer any technical questions you may have.
Well, I thought they were going to ask me the technical questions.
Have we looked at, this is another wet detention area and it's in close proximity of the airport. And I know when I was on the airport board, we had a huge issue with waterfowl planes.
Yep.
Typically don't mix.
Yeah, so this has been a point that's gone back and forth between us and the developer and the airport as well. Initially, they were showing dry detention in their original high-level planning. It was actually one of their commitments to provide dry detention. They pushed back against that. I think the concern is mostly the detention requirements, the size of the pond that would need to be made if it was a dry detention area. They've worked with the airport director, Rick Farrell. There's a FAA circulatory advisory. I don't know what the number it is. Basically, you provide wet detention within this area if you also provide mitigating, I don't know what the word is, but basically ways to prevent birds from coming to the pond. So it's riprap around the pond edge and fountains in the pond and that sort of efforts to minimize the number of birds. So they have worked through these efforts with both the airport and their commitments.
That's what I would say. Questions for Brady? For Chris?
Where does this drain ultimately to, since you're bucking the trend and going northeast?
So the eastern half of the site and the existing condition does drain to the northeast. It drains into the legal drain that runs along the north of the site and then back across Emerson and south.
They're right up against that ditch there, which is another one of the constraints on this. They can't get much additional elevation from their pond because they're right against that ditch.
Further discussion? Pleasure of the board.
I would move that we approve the requests for the waivers, both waivers.
For both of them.
Chapter 5 and Chapter 7. Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brady. Next on our agenda is questions from the audience. Anyone wish to address this?
Joe?
Mr. Saylor? Good evening.
Thank you.
You've been summoned.
Joe Saylor, Assistant City Attorney for the record. We have an account in sewer billing. It's from the Critchfield subdivision where there was a amortized amount of basically a sewer bill to pay for the sewer stuff that were into that over 20 years. There's one property where about 3 years ago, title was being transferred and the property owner decided to just pay it all off. It was in the amount of $920.08 at present. But they sent us a check at the same time that title was transferred. And for whatever reason, the amount didn't transfer with the title. And so we sent them back that refund about 3-4 years ago. No lien was ever posted, and it has now, title has passed again. So we are 2 successors in interest down the road from the people that actually owe the money. Indiana Code 36-9-23-32 deals with this type of sewer billing and liens on property that's transferred title. And it basically at this point, since more than 180 days have passed since our request for payment, that passed a couple of years ago, and it directs that at this point that amount may be expensed as bad debt loss. So I've consulted with the deputy mayor, I've consulted with Billy, and my read of the law is that this is non-collectible for us at this far down the road, and we would be trying to collect from a person who probably doesn't owe it, since it's several successors in interest previously. So I'm asking for, on the controller's behalf, I'm asking for the board to approve that. Let's see, I will give you the address, 1013 Rita Drive, Greenwood. There's a number of different accounts on that, including 971686, which was the original account. Current account is, it's like 1123870. Total currently due is 99210. That be expensed as a bad debt loss pursuant to that statute.
So moved as requested.
Second.
Further discussion? Now, favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else from the audience wish to address us? Mr. Hudson, item compliance plan status update.
We have a semi-annual report due. It's been prepared. I believe it's been distributed. I'm here to solicit a motion and approval to allow us to file that report.
Questions for Sam?
I'll move for approval. Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes.
Next up is consideration of the CDBG fund agreement with the Harvest Food Pantry at St. Francis Clare and Assisi Catholic Church under the same terms and conditions as last year, and it's $10,000.
Questions for Sam on this one?
Move for approval.
Second that. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next up is the Aspire Johnson County contract. Again, this is under the same terms and conditions, and it's $55,000.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next up is County Line Road, Emerson Avenue, assignment of easement. This is a unique situation. The city of Indianapolis actually acquired easement for sidewalk inside the Greenwood city limits in order to complete one of its projects, and it doesn't want to own and maintain it, and sits inside our city limits. We would recommend that we should take it.
Move for approval.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Sam. Mark?
The first item I have under my engineer status task tonight is acceptance of replacement performance guarantees for the replat of blocks D, E, F, and common area 2 replat of the Schwartz Crossing commercial subdivision infrastructure plans. It's kind of a unique situation that was brought to us by the holder of the bonds. Well, we're the holder of the bonds, but by the subdivision developer. Indiana law says that bonds expire after a 48-month renewal period. The developer felt that they needed to update the bonds every year, so it now says 36 months, and presumably next year it'll say 24 months, and the year after that it'll say 12 months. We don't feel that's needed, but we have no opposition.
No harm, no foul.
Yeah.
Approve request.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
The next item is the operations and maintenance manual for water quality for Holly Springs Section 1. We're asking that you authorize the mayor or deputy mayor to sign on the board's behalf.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? Say aye. Thank you.
The next request is the same. Authorize the mayor or deputy mayor to sign the operations and maintenance manual for water quality for Elmwood Estates Section 1.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? There you go. Say aye.
Aye.
The final one is Elmwood Estates Section 2, authorizing the mayor or deputy mayor to sign on the board's behalf the operations and maintenance manual for water quality.
So moved.
Second. Further discussion? There you go. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. That's all I have. Thank you, Mark. Great.
Good evening. A handful of agreements to ask for your approval on. The first one is with Milliman. This is for actuarial services to value our police pension fund as part of our annual reporting.
Questions for Greg?
Move that we approve the request.
Second.
Further discussion? Again, all in favor, say aye.
Authorize.
And authorize.
Awesome.
Mayor,
All right.
Deputy Mayor.
Sign it back.
Okay.
Further discussion from that? Again, all in favor, say aye.
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 The next one is with iHeart. They do actuarial evaluation on our other post-employment benefits. It is another one of the required reporting things. This one is a 2-year contract, and I'd ask that you approve myself or the deputy mayor to sign on board.
I'll move for approval of the deputy mayor.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next one is the lease line of credit with Huntington Public Capital. This is one we renew each year. We use it to purchase vehicles, whether police cars, dump trucks, sometimes fire apparatus. If we don't have cash funding source set up in advance. One change from prior years, we did not put a maximum interest rate on there. We just put competitive market rate because they have no clue what's going to happen to rates right now, and they didn't want to commit to anything. So we would just ask them to go with the competitive market rate.
Is that what's documented in resolution 23-01?
Yes.
Is there a motion to approve 23-01?
So.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
And then the final one is an agreement with Samaritan Fund Program. This program works with people who have catastrophic health insurance issues. As you know, we have a self-funded health insurance. You have an individual who's currently paying COBRA premiums of $1,300 a month, and the city is funding the claims. This would allow them to speak with that individual and see if they can work out a plan that would take him off of the city's insurance onto an insurance plan that he would have no premiums to pay, and the city would not be responsible for the claims. Can't give too much information without violating issues, but basically that is the reason for this agreement. It would be a savings both to us and to the individual.
Have we not had a similar program in the past?
We've not used this one before. We had one other individual a couple of years ago, but they were able to get on with a disability plan through Medicare or Medicaid.
Given Greg's recommendation, I believe that we approve the Samaritan Fund Program consulting.
Myself and
Authorize
Deputy
the
Mayor
mayor.
sign.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Greg. Have a good evening.
For approval of the claims.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Gosh, thank you all. We'll stand adjourned at 5:56 p.m.